right. All right. So, hi, everyone. The small group that there are. Yeah, so I'm Judy Garcia. I'm a career counselor in the Career Center, and I am actually the designated counselor for H&A and also for the College of Science. And so, but tonight it's for you guys, and small group as it is, that's fine, because we can cover some things. And if you have any questions about your resume or LinkedIn, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk about I'll start with the resume format. I'm going to show you a sample resume that we use. All of our resumes really look essentially the same. We use the same format, the formatting, and so let me go ahead and I'll just get started with that, and I will pull up a sample resume here. And so we have actually, I might as well just share my screen for everything here. Okay, so this is our homepage. It's Career Center, and that's what it looks like. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go scroll down to, we have guides for a number of things, resumes, LinkedIn, a number of things. Whoop, actually, I didn't want to go there. Let me back up one. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up our resume guide, and I'm also kind of showing you how to get there. And then I'm going to go to resume samples by major. So we have most majors, not everyone. We have a pretty good cross section of majors here. So what I'm going to start out with is I'm going to start out with a kind of a basic graphic design resume, and just show you how we lay these out, our content and everything. So of course, starting from the top should be your contact information, your name, your contact info, no street address. I actually still see that from time to time, but you don't need that. That's personal. Your street address, nobody needs to know where you live. And you can put a city and state if you want to, your Bay Area, whatever you want to do there. And then we recommend that you use your personal email, not your sjsu.edu. And the reason being that if you're looking for internships or jobs, you want to make sure that you get this content, that recruiters can find you, or whoever's trying to contact you about a job. I don't know how many emails you get through SJSU, and this avoids that. And eventually when you graduate, you will not have that. You won't have that email anymore anyway. So we just recommend you use your personal email. And then you would put your LinkedIn URL, and certainly on the condition that your LinkedIn profile is up to date. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then finally, last but not least, should be your portfolio. So for all you designers out there, this is probably the key to your getting interviews and getting hired, which is your portfolio. This is, for sure. So unlike other majors, so you would also put this at the top, so anybody who sees your resume can go directly there and see your work. So that's the start. Then we recommend, before you get into the rest of the content of your resume, we recommend that you put an objective statement when you are actually actively looking for work or internships. And what that means is you're targeting your resume for each job, each particular position. And we know that employers like to see that. So here's an example of what would go in this line. So if you're on Handshake, for instance, which, I think a lot of students really use Handshake or LinkedIn for the most part to look for work. We really recommend that you are specific for each resume. So it would be the title of the position and the name of the company or the employer that you're applying to. So this would change obviously with every resume that you send. It's customized. So if your resume gets into somebody's hands, this is what you want them to see. You want that person, more likely recruiter, to see that you took the time to actually look at their job posting. And you're not just sending a bunch of resumes out and hoping for something good to come of it. So all it is just one line. Again, just the title and the employer. That's all you need. Then next, we recommend you get right to education. So it would look something like this. You put your degree that you are, your major. If you have a minor or whatever you're doing, you would just put exactly what your focus is. You would put your expected graduation date on the right. So let's say this is May 2022. And then you would just put San Jose State underneath it. And so for transfer students, if you have an associate's degree, then you would put that beneath this. So you would put, if you had A or AS degree, whatever that is, same ideas for San Jose State. You would put your degree, when you graduated, month and year, and then the name of your college, if that applies to any of you. All right. Then due to the fact that you're really looking for opportunities. So I actually feel that skills belongs higher up on the resume, because when we look at jobs, they're highlighted there. So if you look at Handshake and maybe most other job postings, it may start with, this is a degree we want you to have, or these are the majors, and then they get right to the skills. So this is an example of how this would look on your resume, starting with your computer skills. So something like this, you have your creative skills. This is, so we have Adobe, InDesign, all these things here that you're all familiar with. Then definitely your standard computer skills, so Microsoft Office, Google, and then latest edition, or at least over the last few months, is all of your video conferencing skills. So we recommend you add Zoom and anything else and there are quite a few tools. So we have Discord, and I'm seeing all these things going on resumes now. So absolutely add all those. It's all valuable, and we know we're going to be continuing to do this kind of work. So the more the better. So everything you have, you just list across the page like this. If you're bilingual, this can be a second line like you see here. If you have the only other thing is if you have like any special certifications or licenses or anything else, you could add that as well. So we're getting all of this really important information at the top of your resume. All right, so then we get kind of right into it. So as far as the Career Center, we recommend that you go right, the next section would be projects. And we emphasize this because most students do not have any directly related work experience. Most students have, if you have work experience, and it's usually, for the most part, it's been like customer service and a lot of other things that have maybe nothing to do with your major. It should go on there. So projects are going to be, for the most part, semester projects that you've worked on in class over the course of your studies. And what you want to do is, so this here is sort of an example of how this would look. So you would just give your project a title. This just is very general, project team member, but let's say it's a specific name to the project. So you put that. Then you can just put SJSU. Then to the right would be, you could actually just put the semester that you did the project in. So if you're working on something now, you could just put fall 2021. And then if you have other projects, you would work your way back. So that means that we would start with current and then work back to like if you did anything this last summer or spring of 21, and then back before that, reverse chronological order. And it would look, and your project, the content or the look would be something like this. You want to indicate, kind of paint a picture of what you did. So if you worked in a team, you want to indicate that, and how many students you worked with, and then what did you do, and ideally include the tools that you used. So they're not just in the skills section, but you're backing it up. You're actually saying, I use these tools to do this. And then maybe if you gave a presentation or something, you can highlight that. And you would do the same for pretty much any other project that you've done. All right, so then we would go, the next section would probably be work experience. So this is how you would lay this out. So let's say, so I'm thinking, so I'm working the Career Center. We do have a graphic design intern. We try to have one every year, or at least every semester. So I thought this was appropriate. So we do have a graphic design intern in our Career Center, dates, and then I put like a brief description as to what this person does. And really it's supporting our department and all of our events, our career fairs, webinars, stuff like that. Now I could elaborate on this a little bit, indicating like what skills the intern is using, or maybe some examples, or hopefully that's in the portfolio, but that's one way. And then knowing that most students have work experience that has nothing to do with their major, I put this in, added in, like this might be more what I would normally see, which is a job in some kind of retail or customer service or something like that. So here's Barnes and Noble, front desk, and what you would be doing. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So you're highlighting, using bullet points, what are your main responsibilities, dates of employment, and that's what that would look like. And the only other thing I have to add, because this comes up a lot, is if you're currently in a job, you would use present tense verbs. But if your job is over with and it's in the past, you use past tense verbs. So I see this happen a lot where I look at resumes and I see students miss this, and you don't want to do that. So something I just want to point out here. All right, and then finally, last but not least, is an activity section. So this is like the extracurricular stuff. So this is your clubs, volunteering, any special projects, really kind of anything that really doesn't fit into any of the rest of these sections. So it might look something like this. So you're in a club and maybe you're on an event planning team or something else. So for your club, so Zuka, I see you're here now. So it would be like your president, the name of your club, dates, and then you can add a bullet point. If you want to put a little description of what you do, you can do that. Especially if you're a board member. If you're a member, you are a member of a club, you can just put that. But if you helped like plan an event or some kind of project, you can add that too. It's all good, and there's certainly room for it on the page. So we keep resumes one page, and this is pretty much kind of what it looks like. So with that, I'm going to copy this and stop sharing, and I'm going to put this into the chat so you guys can access this resume. So are there any questions or comments?
I have a question. So for the experience part, do we want to put stuff where it's like more geared towards like the job that we're applying for, or can it just be kind of like anything? Like how would you, I guess, go about that?
Okay, so that's a good point. So, and this comes up a lot because I'll talk to students who don't want to put experience on their resume because they say it has nothing to do with what I want. But But you really do want to put that experience on your resume because it may not be directly related to art or design or whatever it is you're looking for. But what it does highlight is your people skills. It highlights your transferable skills. So no matter what you do, you're working in a team, you're assisting other staff, management, customers, whatever. And in that sense, it's all the same, no matter what you do. So what employers are looking for is if you have outside work experience, they want to see that. They want to see what you've done, your key responsibilities. And then if you have leadership skills, so if we take it further and you've hired people or you trained or supervised, those are really good skills too. And we know employers definitely want to see leadership skills too. So these are skills that are important no matter what you do. And that's why you put that information on there. So it shows employers you've worked outside of school, you've had to handle business issues and things that really sort of apply everywhere. So, and they're looking at that too, because they want to, especially if like leadership skills, I think there's some employers that may, as they're thinking about interviewing you for a job, they're thinking, okay, this person's been a supervisor, this person's done some training, this is really important. That's something we can keep in mind for this individual as well, even though it may not be part of the actual job you're applying for. So that's what you would do there. Other questions so far? Zuka? Glad you made it. So with that, I think what I'll do is, we have a pretty small group here. So I think what I'll do is I'll go on and we can talk about LinkedIn. Would that be okay?
Actually, I had one more question. So for DMA students, we have a senior exhibition for when we graduate. So where would we put that on our resume if we were to put that on our resume?
Yes, and you probably should put it on your resume. So I suppose it could go under projects. I guess you could also create a separate section for it and highlight it. So whereas you have maybe semester projects, you could create a separate category for it to make it stand out even more. So I would say either way would be okay. Yeah, because I think I've seen it that way on some resumes. Yeah. Okay, so with that, I think what I'll do is I'll go to LinkedIn, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to help show you couple things that I think will be really helpful. So let me go to, so kind of, let's see here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you guys LinkedIn, and I'm not just going to show you profiles, but I'm actually going to show you how to really take advantage of a resource like this. So for so many majors, so let's say you're looking for jobs on Handshake, looking for internships, jobs, whatever. And that's one resource. We focus on Handshake because it is a student-based platform. Most of the jobs you're going to see there, most of the opportunities are geared for students and brand new graduates. So you're not going to see a lot of positions that require that you've had years of experience, anything like that. But the other thing I want to point out or show you is how to look for alumni that have your degree. And if you're not already doing this, this is like one of the best features of LinkedIn. So if you're looking for jobs So anything that's posted, anything that's on Handshake or Indeed is up for grabs by anybody. So a job posting is open to the public. So anyone can apply. So therefore anything posted is going to be competitive. But the other side of this is you also want to try to look for openings, opportunities that may not be posted, and not everything is posted. Many companies and employers try to get referrals, and they don't really want to post their jobs because they don't want to be inundated with resumes. And in many cases, maybe these are people that really are not qualified or don't have the skills for that, things like that. It happens. So I think what I can show you here is something that'll be really, really, really helpful too. So what we're going to do is, so the first thing you want to do is if you're not already, you would go to the San Jose State University website or their LinkedIn page, I should say, and make sure that you follow what's going on at the university. So when I pull up LinkedIn, I see what's going on at the university all the time. News that's put out, all kinds of things. There's probably some homecoming stuff and fire on the fountain and all that going on. But also alumni that have presented at a conference or all kinds of things, and you've probably seen them. So what I want to show you here though, is we're going to do a couple things. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is where we focus, is we look at alumni a lot. So I'm going to go to alumni. And as you can see, there's like 250,000 alumni with profiles in LinkedIn. They may not be current or up or old or something, but that's how many there are. And usually what I do when I talk to students looking for jobs and they're going, I have this degree, but I really don't know what I want to do. And I'm just not really finding anything, and other opportunities are so competitive. It's really hard. So this is where this can really help. So we can pull up. So give me one of your majors, anyone.
Digital media art.
Perfect. Okay, so based just on that keyword search, the number drops to like 4,000. Okay, then what I'm going to do is to further narrow this down. I'm going to narrow down my dates, the date range, and I'm going to go down to like 2 years. So now I've dropped it to 700. So that's a little more manageable, but we're going to even go from there. So what I'm going to do is start by showing you a few things if you're not familiar. So the first thing would be, I look at these graphs first. So, okay, so many of them live in the US. I guess that's not all that surprising. Then this is the first, kind of the main one I look at, is where are people working? So according to LinkedIn profiles, and it's only how accurate, it's only as good as how accurate people are in updating their profile information. So it says there are 35 at San Jose State teaching or some capacity. Then we have Apple and communications company. We have some that are self-employed, not surprising. Oh, and here's some of you probably in this group right here. And so this is one way of searching. I'm not seeing like significant numbers. So I'm going to go a little further and do a little more filtering here. So I'm going to take this, graph over, and I'm going to look at the majors. And I think what I'm going to do is filter this even further to, I'll just, since it's, I'm going to go to, we have digital media art, but I'm going to go to digital communication and media multimedia. At least that's the classification. So now I'm down to 100 alumni, 140. So now the numbers have changed, as you can see. So here are some jobs where they're working, and we can I already did this. I can take this further and open up any of these. So let's just say, so as you can see, I can click any of these and it will pull up those profiles. It'll pull up those people. So I'm going to just pull up arts and design. Just so there's 23 people, right? So we can, let's go to, so now I can start looking at profiles. And this is where this can be super helpful in terms of updating your own profile. That's the other thing we're doing here. So for example, I'm gonna start with this first one. Okay, so here's a student. And so as I pull this up, I'm looking at a few things. Number one, her headshot. Okay, close up, but just, you know, face shot. Background banner. So I find that a lot of students don't put a banner back here, and you can. You can put something back here. It's right now, if you don't, it's this gray, shades of gray thing. It's pretty ugly, really. But you have the opportunity to put something meaningful to you or artistic, whatever. So you can see also that it makes the profile pop. It really does. As opposed to keeping the default thing there. Then, so there's face shot, banner. Number 3 is the headline. So for most of you guys, most students, it's going to be your job or what you're doing or your major. So she's got a few things here. Digital media art BFA. Okay, then something else I noted, this here providing services. This is a little more recent update to LinkedIn, but you can put down like what you do, what you are able to do, what you know, which is great. And then the 4th piece is this about section. It's your summary. And this is something you really don't get to do on your resume. This, you really don't have the opportunity on your resume, but LinkedIn is a place for this. So you can read this summary. And what I like about this is you get to sort of get personal and express your philosophy or how you feel or what kind of work you're looking for. Your resume really doesn't allow you to do that, but LinkedIn does. So Van this is her story, her about, and then what she does and her some interests. So it's fine. It's cool. I like it. And then there's some, she's, you know, just uploaded something that you can see. And again, these are things that you can't really do on your resume. This is where LinkedIn, where it really belongs. And then I can go down and look at her background. So she's a cadre. So here's your club right here. And then with the mentorship program, and then has done some freelance work. And I know I see freelance a lot on LinkedIn, and that's fine. That's great. And then job, other work experience, and looks like she got her BFA last year in 2020. And so this is one profile. But what I'm also doing is I get to highlight the features of the profile of what you want to do. So I'm going to pull up, I'm going to go back down and look at somebody else. So this is that gray background thing I was telling you about. You probably know what I'm talking about. So as you can see, a banner, having a real banner back there really does make a difference. And if you're creative, here's your chance to really put something that's you, that's going to make you really stand out. So I'm going to pull up Mark for a minute here. So here's another point of view in terms of a banner. And the face shot or headshot. So a lot, you know, around graduation time, I see a lot of this. I see people are in their cap and gown, and it looks great with, you know, San Jose State in the background, that kind of thing. So here's this, his name. passionate, creative, pursuing marketing and digital media, over 500 connections. Then we go to the about. So here's another summary. What am I, what this student is doing. I'm a freelance. I've been doing these things. What I do when I'm not working. And you can do things like also add your, your contact information here if you want to, or in this case, also his website. So this is cool. And then, so he's with this company ad here that I've never heard of, but this is the other thing that's really nice about LinkedIn is that this is a company I might not know about otherwise if I hadn't looked here. So they may not post their jobs anywhere. So if I was looking for a job, I might go to their website or their page and see if they're hiring or see what kind of opportunities there are. And this may not be as competitive as many of the opportunities that you see on, LinkedIn or Handshake. So I can just, so as a applicant or student, I like going back and looking to see like, what have people been doing? All these things, and then education, and then maybe some volunteer experience. I usually more focus closer to the top of the page, but otherwise, nice profile. So, and then we can look at, all right, so I'm going to pull Brian here for a minute. Okay, so just another view of a profile. So here's Brian, background, banner, lead designer and developer at Salazar Digital. So again, a company I've never heard of. So I'm gonna, so this may be a really small company, startup or something. So again, I might check these guys out if I'm looking for work and I'm not. So one of the things that we really recommend to students is, don't limit yourself to the top companies or the ones where everybody's looking for work, but you're going to have a better shot at something if you look at everything, if you're open to all kinds of opportunities. So here, I wanted to look at is about sections. So he kind of put, this is a little more, I don't know if a little more personal, but he is kind of explaining himself. Evidently started out or wanted to be a software developer and then moved into digital arts. And so explanation here. Something else I didn't really see on the other two is highlighting skills. I mean, there is a skills section on LinkedIn, but you can put this information in your profile or in your summary to kind of say, I know these things. So maybe this gets more attention by recruiters or whoever's looking at this. And then he posted his resume, which is not required. Some people do. You don't have to. And then here's work experience and education, and that's that. So let's see, any questions so far? Questions, thoughts? Is this helpful?
Yeah, it's really helpful. I think especially because since we're now in a more digital age too, like LinkedIn, a lot of people somehow I'm just how do people find me? But then it's like with the stuff that you're going over, I'm oh, that's how they find me. A lot of us are in digital media. And so finding people that even our professors are oh, your classmates are potentially potential employers or employees.
That's right.
So yeah, this is really
That's right.
helpful.
Yeah. So the next step to this. So let's see, 23 alumni. All right, let me go back. 144 alumni. Okay, so let me, I think I'm going to do a different kind of a search. So I already pulled degree. Well, so if we kind of, let me take this out. Okay, back to the 700. So again, so here are the ways, you can look by company, and you're going to find all kinds of things. So if you see a company that interests you, we could look at, those profiles. We did look at arts and design. All right, let's say we can go to media. I'll go to media and communication. So let's look at those 98 alumni or people. Very different, a little different here. Google, Apple, little bit of everything. And again, it's just only as good as people updating their profile, which a lot of people don't. But I'm going to go down a little bit here and see if there's, so look at, actually, I think what I want to do is try to find somebody that works for a company.
We actually have another question in the chat, Judy.
Sure.
It says, what are some things that can be considered not so good LinkedIn habits?
Do you have anything in specific you want to ask about? Like, I'm not really sure how to answer the question. So anything in particular, or anything you've seen, or let me see. I'll pull up another. Okay. So let me see. I'm trying to think of how to answer your question.
Another, or like they added maybe the organization of information, or I guess just like things that like maybe you shouldn't add, or like are thinking about adding but probably shouldn't add in your LinkedIn profile.
Well, you definitely, first thing I think is you want to make sure, on the plus side, I think, is making it complete, like you see here with these pieces put together. So your headshot, the background banner, which is really nice. A headline that's current. So make sure that, this is why you have to look at your profile every now and then. Keep it updated. So one of the things is a lot of people don't look at LinkedIn, so they have old information on here. They're not a student anymore. They're no longer at that company. So how LinkedIn is going to be effective is to make sure you're keeping this information current. Down here under about, this is also important, I think. I think, again, if you're, depending on your goals. So if you're looking for work, then you can express that. You can, that might go here. So if Cosette was no longer working with this company, then it might say social media coordinator seeking new opportunity, something along that line. But what I do is, so I'm looking at all these things to make sure it just looks really professional. And then she's talking about her social media passion, a little bit of her background, how to contact her, and then background. So I don't know that there's, this is not Facebook, or so I guess Facebook's different, of course. But one of the things I do want to point out is, if you want to connect with this person. So the other thing that comes up often with LinkedIn is students will say to me, well, how do I reach out to people I don't know? Because it's a very common question. So if you looked at her profile, and I've never heard of Peace Out Skincare. I probably would not find this on Handshake, but I might go, wow, this sounds really interesting. I'd like to learn more about this company, you know? So if I'm thinking about connecting with her, I would do a little homework first. I would probably try to look a little bit more about where she works or about the name of this company. So here's their page. Small company. So it's skincare, 29 employees on LinkedIn. I don't know how many employees they actually have, but if this company interested me, I would want to learn a little more about them. And then I'd probably go here and look at jobs. So I'm going to do that right now and just see if they're even hiring. They're not hiring right now, but you can, if anybody's interested, you can create a job alert so that when they do post a job, you'd be notified if this company sounds like something you'd like to work for. So, but if I was interested in doing this kind of work and maybe work in this industry, the next step would be to connect with her. So what you do here is you want to send a really short message. So you don't just connect with somebody for the sake of connecting with them, but you want to give them a reason to connect with you is what you're really trying to do. So why we look for alumni like this is because you guys have that in common with them. We all went to San Jose State. We're Spartans. So that's the common piece, right? So if I wanted to connect with her, I would probably send a message. So I'm thinking I'd like to do something like she does. That's my goal here. So my message would be something like, I'm a design major, social media, studying social media at San Jose State, something like that. I found your profile on LinkedIn. I'm really interested in I'd like to learn more about what you do. I'd like to learn more about the kind of work that you do. And I would like to connect and learn more. So it's a passive request. You don't ask people for a job. And I'm sure people do that. I'm sure students do that too. They reach out and say, can you give me a reference, or can you help me find a job? And they don't know who you are. So they're not probably going to even respond. But if you message it this way and make this connection, she may respond. The only thing we don't know about LinkedIn is how active people are. So there are people that are on there all the time and they're very active and very responsive. And there are other people that are not on LinkedIn very often. So I would take that chance though, if I was thinking I'd like to do something like this. So I would connect with her, give her a little background. I'm a student studying this. I'd like to connect with you and learn more about your work. And all you could say, maybe like, I look forward to hearing from you, something like that. So you're not trying to pin a person down or anything, but you just that's kind of what you would do. And then hopefully you're going to hear from her. She'll say, yeah, I'd like to connect with you. Send me, I bet there are people that even say, send me your resume, which would be something that might never happen if you didn't try. So that's really what I wanted to try to, express, is how to use LinkedIn. And when you use it this way and you communicate with people like this, they're going to be more responsive and you may very well find an opportunity. So that's what you want to do. So with that, it's almost 8. I'm going to get ready to wrap up. Are there any questions or thoughts?
Hey, Judy, this is Steve. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I
Hi.
can.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for coming and on Spartan, apparently Spartan football night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and sorry, I was bouncing around, but you mentioned earlier something about the past versus present tense of resumes.
Yes.
Is that, what was your thought on that? Because I think you were talking about something about mixed tense and
Oh,
so
yeah.
what's the rules on that?
Okay, so if it's a project or work experience, so if it's something you're currently doing,
Mm-hmm.
something you're currently working on, make sure your verbs are current tense.
Okay.
If you are so if it's current, let's say it's producing something, you're producing something as opposed to produced.
Right.
So you want to be sure that you're mindful of that. That's really important. And these are the kinds of things that recruiters can catch. If you just don't, use the right English or something, you
Right.
can passed over for a job, for consideration if you don't pay attention to those things.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is. So
So the sort of current work, that thing that's sort of usually at the top, should be present tense, and then
Yeah.
everything else is described as past tense.
would be past tense if you're no longer doing that.
Right. Okay.
The other thing I didn't mention that you just brought up is so the reason we have our resumes this in that format is, as you see, it's across the page, everything's lined up. You don't see things like italics or underlines or columns or any of that. Very straightforward. So the reason our resumes are laid out like that is because they work for applicant tracking software for companies that use that. So most mid to large size companies use some kind of scanning software to scan resumes.
Right.
Because there's no way a person or a few people could look at every resume that comes in.
Right.
When you apply for a job, in many cases, it's going to go, when you send your resume, they want you to send it in a certain format. So you pay attention to that. Do they want you to send it in Word or PDF, or, you want to pay attention to that.
Right.
It's be scanned to see how close a match it is to what they want. So how well do your qualifications and everything match up what the employer is looking for? So the closer the match, the more likely you probably will get contacted for an interview. So that's why we tell students, if you're applying for jobs, are you really a pretty good match for this based on this is what they want, you have these things or most of these things. And so that's a really important point. But I think with creatives, the other thing is your portfolio. So depending on what you're applying for, they're also going to look at your portfolio and see if there's a potential match. And I suppose the next step would be you have an interview. You have a full, an interview where you get to discuss all those things and decide.
So you were talking about the scanning software. Have they created like a standards practice for resumes where it sort of the use of like things like hashtags or something like that would actually help search engines find somebody? If you put these hashtags into your resume that might just be like skills that you have or whatever, have you heard of anything related to that or not? Or
I haven't. That's a really good question. I should check that. All I know is the reason we have the formatting so straightforward as it is. It's not evidently the scanning works
right.
that way. So that's why it's really important to read the job description and what the qualifications are, and better yet, even go to the company website and see if there's anything else you can gain there that you could highlight on your resume to try to make it a better match. And then the other thing is you can do all those things, but better yet, if you know anybody that works at the company. So this kind of goes back now to the LinkedIn alumni search. So
Right.
if you have companies you want to work for, so here's the other strategy is you may have target companies. I would go looking for people who work there, and fairly good odds you're probably going to find at least one Spartan, one San Jose State alumni there. So the next key that's a really good strategy, is to see if you can find people who work there that you can reach out to in this way, and just try to, invite them to connect with you, and then better yet, maybe get an opportunity to have like a Zoom meeting with them or something where you can kind of learn a little bit more about how they got their job there, and their advice for you to apply for a job there, because they have been through that. They went through that whole process. They applied, interviewed, and the whole thing. And that's not, you're going to really be able to figure out from just looking at a posting.
And so, and with that strategy, it's not necessarily like they're going to know somebody who you should talk to, although that could be the case.
That's possible.
Right. But it's just the more information you can know about a specific company and customize your application or have a strategy towards how you're applying to a specific company, the better.
Yep.
It seems like.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing is keep your eyes open for events that these companies are sponsoring or featured at, so I see some things on Handshake, but it's like, look at their news, or look at what they're doing, what's going on. Are they hosting a conference? Or are they participating in some kind of a conference or an event that you could potentially sit in on, register for, or that's why, like, guest speakers and like what you guys are doing. This is one thing about student orgs is I know you guys have a great opportunity. Number one, to look for alumni, to invite alumni to come and talk. Alumni may be working at companies that you're really interested in,
right?
They went to San Jose State. You can find out how they got where they are, and and all of that, and advice, for you guys. And alumni are a great way to start looking, if this is, because I know there are a number of clubs that focus on this. They look for alumni working at key companies and invite them to doing something like this. And that can be so helpful. And then in most cases with alumni, they're more than willing to connect with you. If they're going to do something like this, they're like, reach out to me,
And do you think the ones that are doing this, are they using LinkedIn to look for alumni, or they have other strategies? Like, is there something at San Jose State that they can look at, a resource at San Jose State, or not?
Yeah, they're probably asking faculty too. I mean, been working there a while, so from LinkedIn, because not everybody has a profile on LinkedIn too. Would be reaching out to faculty and staff, and pretty good odds somebody knows somebody.
Sure, it's
More
true.
than likely, yeah.
Yes. Well, very cool. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I wrap up or head out?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Finally. Okay. I think there was something wrong with my mic, and I've been like trying to talk and it's not working.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much too for this. It's been amazing. I'm so sorry I did not notice that. Like I don't know how I forgot to connect the two dots, that there is an event and an event. But this will be recorded, so I hope some more people will get to hear the amazing.
I want to send you my email and you guys can reach out to me if you like me to your resume or your LinkedIn profile. I'd be happy to do it. So
thank you.
My extra add-on for doing something like this. So yeah, or any questions or any thoughts, just let me know, and be happy to help.
Great. Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you guys. All right.
Thank you.
Good
All
evening.
right. You can go watch the Giants game now.
Go watch the game now. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to know the score? Should I tell anybody?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's know.
I want to know.
1-0 Dodgers.
Oh no.
That's all, It's only one. It's only one.
Okay, it's good. One's not bad.
One nothing. Okay, well, it's home field advantage. So for that, yeah.
Cool.
All right, you guys have a good night. And
All right,
thank
you too.
You too.
Thank you.
All right.